and curiouser, said Alice. No, seriously, Hugh, what are you doing?
I said it's none of your business.
Yes, well, actually, it is my business. Since we're both paid to be performing a comedy show, and what you are doing is neither comic nor showy, I think that gives me the right to ask you what you're doing, and for you to give me a straight answer.
I'm counting out money.
I warn you, Mr. Bond, my patience is not inexhaustible. Tell me why you are counting out money, or my pretty little piranha fish can expect a substantial meal this evening.
Well, I'm counting out money that I've stolen during the course of today.
I beg your pardon?
That's right. I took up mugging recently. Well, yesterday, actually. And at the end of the day, I like to count out how much I've earned for tax purposes.
You took this money from people by mugging them?
That's right. 2 old ladies on the Finchley High Road and a busker at Baker Street Tube.
You stole this from them forcibly and without permission?
Yep.
What a brilliant idea.
Fantastic, isn't it? It really is incredibly easy. You just walk up to them, wave a knife under their nose, Bob's your uncle.
That is remarkable. Sort of morality-wise, what do you think?
Oh, isn't that just typical of the chattering classes? Chatter, 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 you know, imposing your views on people.
Oh, he's absolutely right. I'm very ashamed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at that part of the evening where, all things being equal, we would introduce some guests onto the show. There would be amusement, merriment, applause, and jovial backslapping as we affectionately swapped stories about what it was really like working with Keith Barron. But, sadly, all things are not equal.
That's right. Take, for example, the number of people who like Libby Purvis and compare it to the number of people who have to listen to her every day on the radio.
Definitely not equal. And so it is with this show. We cried and we moaned, we begged and we pleaded, we borrowed and we invested wisely, but to no avail. Not a single person answered our advertisement for guests in last month's edition of The Watchtower. And so, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time, my colleague and I are going to attempt,
and the key word there is foreskin.
Yes, we will attempt to complete a show in which there are virtually no guests.
Guestless.
In a virtually guest-free environment.
I've chosen, in place of my guest, a pair of old trousers that my grandfather used to wear while he was gardening.
And I've selected an old tin of Humbrol paint. So, let the good times, if not exactly roll, at least have a seat at the negotiating table.
So, what was Keith Barron really like?
Hello and 3 dozen welcomes to the national finals of the Young Tory of the Year, here at the Daily Mail Hall, Horrogate, in front of an invited audience of local businessmen and their slightly awkward teenage children in ponytails and annoying ties. With me is one of the judges, Brent Wheeler. He'll be giving us the benefit of his expert advice and telling us what to look out for. Good evening, Brent.
Quite right.
Brent, last year the standard was extraordinarily high. Do you think we can look forward to something similar this year?
Yeah, Susan, I think we probably can. Yes, I have been a judge in some of the local heats, and let me tell you that the talent this year is as awesome as it's ever been.
Of course, this being the national finals, candidates will be concentrating largely on keynote speeches and general displays of ignorance and prejudice. Is that right?
That's it. Yes, well, this year they have introduced a new round, a getting shiny-faced in a T-shirt round.
T-shirts? That doesn't sound very...
It doesn't sound, no, but you see, this is the way that young Toryism is being developed, you see. T-shirts show that this is not just an art for the middle classes. It gives it a general American street fashion-wise appeal for the young and hip trendy.
Right. Well, the lights are going down behind us, as you can probably hear, and I think our first contestant, Andrew Treadgold, is ready to go on. Andrew is in his second year at Exeter, reading human bigotry and libertarian nonsense. He counts amongst his inspirations the Family Values theme by John Patton, the Further Cuts in Public Expenditure Suite by Kenneth Clark, arranged for Portillo, and the Endless Variations in J Major. So, Andrew Treadgold, Southwest Regional winner.
Conference. Core values. Real punishment for offenders. Family standards. Opportunity for individual enterprise. Roll back the frontiers of the state. Michael's bold and imaginative initiative. And yes, why not corporal punishment? Really crack down young offenders' rule of law. And yes, I make no apology. Respect for ordinary, decent, vast majority welfare sponges. As Norman said so clearly, individual enterprise culture, opportunity attack on friendly liberal education issue. Pick up on John's wonderfully forceful point, sloppy thinking, 60s media knockers. In Michael's bold and imaginative values, standards, decency. Family law, yes, I make no apology. Why not even perhaps God? And pride in country. Decent, ordinary, sloppy people, vast majority of bold new initiatives. Decent, family, values, standards, core values, return to 50s. Responsibility, individual respect, standards, values, and yes, why not? Values, respect, standards, ordinary, decent, apology. I make no standards. Vast family law. Why not sloppy, corporal, God, punishment, individual, decent, sponges, wishy-washy, friendly, family, crime, Michael, values. Thank you.
Well, as you can hear, the audience absolutely loving that. But what do the judges was making it, I wonder, Brent?
It was wonderfully confident and assured, wasn't it? Original, though. I'm not sure how the judges are going to like that. You may have noticed that in one of the early passages he opted for family standards instead of the more classically correct family values. But the technique was astounding in one so young. Every bit as insulting as a Tory twice his age.
But no actual mistake.
Not real mistakes, no.
I thought at one point he was going to say something which made sense.
Yes, he just avoided it. No, very assured, very ghastly, completely sucked dry of youth, energy, ideals, imagination, love, passion, or intelligence.
Well, while the audience throws quietly up, we'll return you to the shop where we bought you.
Men are just so fragile, aren't they, you know? You've only got to say something like, you've got an absolutely tiny one and you're hopeless in bed, and they get all sort of hurt.
You say women are like eggs. Best not keep them in the fridge.
Yes, I like to do about 30 lengths every day before I go to work. You know, it really makes me feel, you know, shagged.
When I was growing up back then in the oh-so-1960s and 70s, television entertainment could be described in just 6 words, and those 6 words were variety. Whatever happened to variety? They tell us variety is dead. Well, I happen to know a young man who may just yet prove those cynics wrong. I wouldn't be embarrassed to call this talented youngster Mr. Variety himself. He sings, he dances, he tells jokes, he's a remarkable impressionist and a world-class ventriloquist. He tears paper, he rides a motorcycle, he walks the high wire, he performs magic, he reads minds, he plays the piano, the harpsichord, and the sackbut. He writes all the material that he wears, he lifts impossible weights, he throws knives, he grows camellias to an international standard, he forecasts the weather, he trains seals, he seals trains, he draws lightning portraits, he speaks over 30 languages, and is capable of sustaining an erection for over 4 hours. He was just 20 years of age when he died in 1934. Please welcome Tommy McPherson.
And now we present Dame Victoria Bennett in Alan Wood's acclaimed prestige dramatic monologue, Well, I Never Did.
Yes, I'll never forget that one. That was taken before they pulled down the gasworks and built that Netto superstore. Oh, he looks good in his Littlewoods keynote card, does our Alan. I said at the time, Alan, if you want to get on in the world, you'd be wise to write down everything I say, because it's gold, is what I say. And don't hog the peak friends, lad. Pass them round. Lovely boy he was. Teeth weren't his strong feature, of course, and his hair was never what you might call Leslie Howard. But I always say, teeth is teeth. What does it matter, so long as you've got your wealth? He said, I can't wait to get out of here, Auntie Ivy, and make my fortune down south. I said, Alan, I may not be as cabbage-looking as my tongue is a fisherman's doily. What's London got that you won't find in the Arndale Centre in Todmorden? He was stuck for a reply. I said, you want sophistication? You stick with us up here, love. He knew I was right, bless him. I mean, we've got a body shop in the parade now. We can't move for Volvos in the autumn months. But then he's always had his head in the clouds, as our Alan. Caught him trying to scour a milk pan with a tea bag once. I said, it's all very well knowing long words, but if you can't tell the difference between a box of Brillo pads and a packet of Typhoo 1 cup, you'll never get on. I'll go to the back of our fridge. He did leave, though. Got a scholarship to Oxford. I said, you make sure there's somewhere as you can buy Kendal mint cake and a good bar of Wright's coal tar soap. Because they've no idea down there. Well, I mean, fancy ideas and tropical mixed croutons are all very well, but they don't get the Vimto butter, do they? For all your fine Italian red lettuce, which to my mind tastes as bitter as a Skipton wind. He said, Auntie, I'll be fine. Well, of course, I didn't know him when he came back. Green corduroy jacket, duffel coat, horn-rimmed spectacles he could eat parsley out of, and a head crammed with I don't know what. And books. You've never seen so many. Some of them that dirty, I blushed to the roots of my playtex. I said, those books are going straight into the hot point and no buts. Lovely, they did. Amazing what a bit of Lenore can do, if you've a mind. No, but that Oxford and his smart friends, they've changed him. Ideas, that's what it is. I said, what use is ideas when you've a capon to baste and the teleman's due any minute? Name an idea, I said, that can get the front steps scrubbed, the sausages pricked and the navel oranges squeezed in time for a meat tea and finger buffet. Didn't know which way to look. These Oxford types. They're all apricot facial scrub and yesterday's suet turnover. To look at them, you'd think a packet of bachelor's savoury rice wouldn't melt in their Vosine medicated, but they've no sight. I
could take a Black & Decker nose drill to the pack of them and still have change left over for a bag of peanut brittle. Left home, of course. Got involved with the BBC. All party eggs and tomato chutney. Next thing I know, he's got a dame hood and a brand new hostess trolley to show for it. They'll fall for anything, them Londoners. Well, I'm off down to Morrison's for a jar of melon lip balm and a 4-pack of inter-uterine devices. Got that Cat Routledge round for elocution lessons at 12. Ta-da.
Yeah, now always remember this. My father's advice to me was neither a borrower nor a git-bee.
Well, if people want to be right-wing and nationalistic and bigoted, then let them go and live in Russia. That's what I say.
Okay, so, you know, you say get rid of the Queen, and you say get rid of the royal family, but I mean, what are they going to put on the stamps? Rhineham? Mike Smith? You know, I mean, I might have to turn Mike Smith over and give him a licking every time I want to send a letter. People think these things through, do they?
Ladies and gentlemen, a bit of a shadow has been cast over the show this evening. My colleague, Hugh, has received a death threat.
That's right. It arrived this morning, and it's addressed to Dear Sir or Madam. You are a cow-son bastard-sucking mental. You die heavily in wet, throat-ripping everywhere. Don't like the Queen, this country. Spelt wrong. To tear out lungs and replace with portable clothes, brackets, yes please, brackets. National service, who is she? Stripping scrotum through eerie, leery pastures of deep smell. Pretty upsetting, as you can imagine.
I've tried to persuade my colleague to take this threat seriously, but he insists on carrying on as if nothing has happened.
Yeah, well, you see, I take the view that if you give in to these people, then you've given in.
Yes, but at the very least, my colleague, I don't think it's safe for you to do your song this evening.
Well, you see, if I don't do my song, then he's won, and democracy might as well just take an early shower.
Yes, but whoever he is, this M. Pontillo, I mean, he might, he might be in the audience now, armed.
But you see, someone's got to...
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me,